Hey guys, today we are making a Buttermilk Bastille Baby Soap, and all it has in it is olive oil, coconut oil, buttermilk, carrot puree, and lavender oil, and sodium hydroxide. Um, the lavender oil is optional.
If this is your first time making soap, be sure to go over life safety first because we're only going over the basics today.
When you are making soap with milk, if you just use the milk right out of the fridge, it can cause the milk to scorch, which will discolor your soap. You can still use it, it just won't look as good. And so what you can do is freeze the milk overnight before you start making your soap. And you can also put it in an ice bath. And you have to mix this really slowly because you can still scorch your milk. And this can take up to 10 minutes, but you don't want to mix it too quickly. Okay, and now we are mixing our lye and buttermilk mixture with our oils. And as you might have noticed, the lye mixture yellowed a little bit, and that's okay. The buttermilk, the fatty acids in the buttermilk are just reacting to the lye. Okay, and now we are going to mix this up. And you want to burp the blender to help reduce the amount of bubbles that end up in your finished product. Okay, and now we are going to mix this until we reach trace. When it comes to your carrot puree, you can either make your own or you can just buy baby food, but whatever you choose to do, make sure it's only carrots and water if you buy a baby food. If you get this one, you'll have to measure out your 2.5 ounces, but this handy little container is already 2.5 ounces. Now that we've reached a light trace, we are going to add the carrot puree and the essential oil, and then mix those in. And you can either whisk this in or use the mixer. I'm just going to use the mixer today because we're just at a light trace right now. Now that everything is mixed together, we're going to pour this in our mold. Now that all the soap is in the mold, we're going to do this a few times to get any air bubbles out. Then I'm just going to take a chopstick and whip some little designs into this. That's you can just try and flatten it out if you want to, but I like it to look a little bit whippy. And then we're going to spray this down with rubbing alcohol and cover it with saran wrap, and then wrap it in a towel. And this is a really soft soap because it's mostly olive oil, so we're going to leave it in the mold for 7 days. After a few hours, your soap might start to turn this weird color, but don't worry about that. It's just going through gel phase. It will start to turn back to a more normal color in a few days. So it's been a week, and so we gently pull that off of the edges, and then like this. You don't want to let your soap fall onto that, or it'll mess up your swirl design. Oh. Okay. This is a really soft soap, so even if you're gentle, you could end up like bending or, you know, messing up the edges a little bit like that. But that's okay. We're gonna use a crinkle cutter on ours, so that won't even bother it at all. Okay. Your soap might have like a ring like that around it. I don't know if you can see it very well, but don't worry, that will go away in a few weeks as it dries, and it'll be a nice uniform color. So you can take the thin slices that you cut off the edge if you're using a crinkle cutter, and cut them into 2 or 3 pieces after they're cured and give them away as samples. Now that the soap is all cut up, we are going to put it on a drying rack for 4 to 8 weeks. If you don't have a drying rack, just line up your soap so it can dry, and in about a week, turn it to the side so the bottom can dry evenly, and you can turn it again if you like.